Eamon Javers joins us this morning. Hey, Eamon.
Yeah, good morning, Carl. President Trump was on his way to Dover, Delaware this morning when he stopped to talk to reporters, insisting that he has the support of the American people for the war in Iran and the effort to keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Here's what he said.
Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
The president also made additional threats to Iran this morning on social media, writing, "From this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, including those located next to or in the capital city of Tehran." Now, all that comes as oil prices appear to react overnight to comments by Secretary of State Marco Rubio after the 11th consecutive night of U.S. strikes in Iran. Rubio said the U.S. would love to reach a diplomatic settlement with Iran, but he added that right now they don't seem to be serious. He also accused the Iranians of being the ones to violate the memorandum of understanding between the two countries that was negotiated earlier this summer. The Iranians, for their part, guys, of course, they've accused the United States of being the one to violate the deal. Back over to you.
Meantime, in D.C., Eamon, there's the money issue. Where the House is going to shoot for a reconciliation vote this afternoon, and then the Secretary of War on the Hill yesterday asking for another $67 billion. Are we starting to read some tea leaves on the at least the Senate's willingness to pay for that?
Yeah, and there's going to be a question about the sense of Congress here. Does Congress want to foot the bill for this war, even a Republican-dominated conference? And you saw some fiery moments with Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, yesterday up on Capitol Hill as Democrats went after him about his promises on the war, saying that the Iranian military, on day 14, for example, had been totally destroyed. Was that true? Was the administration being responsible here? But from Republicans, you don't hear that kind of criticism. And so for now, it feels very much as if the president still has the lead of his party. But, you see these casualties. You see the president at this dignified transfer ceremony in Dover, Delaware, and that will raise broader questions about, what is the U.S. mission here? Is it something the U.S. can accomplish, and how much is it going to cost?
Have you heard anything, Eamon, about this reported nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia? What conditions might be tied to it?
So we've seen reporting from the Wall Street Journal breaking the story this morning, the New York Times matching it shortly thereafter. And what they are reporting, which we have not matched yet and the White House has not confirmed, what they are reporting is that there is an expectation that the United States will agree to a civilian nuclear power deal with Saudi Arabia with input of American nuclear companies, but that deal might not have a lot of the safeguards in terms of nuclear weapons proliferation that had been envisioned in previous discussions about this kind of a deal. The United States has long been concerned about the idea of a Saudi bomb. And so the question is, can you have Saudi civilian nuclear power without the prospect of the Saudis getting the bomb? That is, the big table stakes here for this idea of power in Saudi Arabia. And you see some concern because Mohammed bin Salman, the leader there, has said that if the Iranians get a bomb, he's going to want to get a bomb too. He's going to push for it very aggressively. So where does that all leave us is a big open question as well.
Yeah, and there were also demands in the past that it required normalization with Israel, and I haven't heard much in there as well.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be part of the deal that's being floated right now. But we don't have confirmation from the White House yet. And we saw Marco Rubio earlier saying he's not going to answer any questions about that. He's going to wait for any kind of official rollout. So maybe behind the scenes, we're still seeing some of the terms shifting on.